Have you ever wondered how we can see inside a patient's body in real time while they're moving without making a single incision? That's fluoroscopy. And if it sounds complicated, don't worry. Today we're breaking it down in plain language, like we're just chatting over coffee. If you've ever felt unsure about how a fluoro unit actually works, what each part does, or even what the heck ABC stands for, you're in the right place. We're going to walk through the equipment, the image receptors, the viewing and recording systems, and the safety features that make fluoroscopy work. This episode checks all of the boxes that the ARRT wants you to know, whether you're prepping for the CQR, studying for your boards, or just brushing up for the clinic. And stick around to the end because I'll walk you through a quick multiple choice quiz to lock everything in. And you can also grab a free Canva quiz link down in the comments if you want to study on your own or review later. In past episodes, we covered GI contrast procedures like barium swallows and enemas, and we broke down radiation protection, how X-rays interact with the body, and how to protect both patients and staff. So today, we're tying it all together by zooming in on the fluoroscopy unit itself, the machine that makes it all possible. Let's start with what catches the X-rays, the image receptor. This is the part of the machine that turns invisible radiation into the visible images we work with on screen. In fluoroscopy, there are two types of image receptors you'll likely come across, the image intensifier and the flat panel detector. Your image intensifier, this is an older but still widely used technology in many fluoro suites. It takes X-rays that pass through the patient and converts them into a bright, visible image. It works well, but it tends to be bulky, and you might notice distortion around the edges of the image, called pincushion distortion. Next up, we have flat panel detectors. This is a newer and more advanced version. It's fully digital and provides sharper images without the edge distortion. Flat panel detectors are more compact and work seamlessly with modern imaging systems and PACS. That's your picture archiving and communication system. Now let's look at CR versus DR versus fluororeceptors. It's a common mix-up. People often ask, are flat panel detectors and image intensifiers the same as CR or DR? The short answer is no. They're used in different contexts. CR, or computed radiography, uses imaging plates that you run through a reader. It takes longer to process those. Then you have digital radiography, or DR. These use flat panel detectors for quick digital image capture. And lastly, we have fluoroscopy receptors. These include image intensifiers or flat panel detectors that show live, real-time images during the procedures. So yes, DR and fluoro may both use flat panels, but they serve very different functions. It's static imaging versus dynamic, real-time imaging. The key takeaway: understand the receptor type, how it impacts your workflow, and when it's used. That's what ARRT wants you to know. No need to memorize the physics behind every part inside the detector. Want a deeper dive? If you're studying for your ARRT boards or a full recertification, a bit more detail goes a long way here. Image intensifiers work in stages. X-rays hit the input phosphor, made of cesium iodide. That gets converted to light, which then hits a photocathode and is turned into electrons. These electrons are focused, accelerated, and strike an output phosphor to form a bright image. Common distortions with intensifiers include pincushion distortion, that's where the edges are stretched, and vignetting, when you have darker edges. Flat panel detectors come in two main types. Indirect detectors, these use a scintillator to convert X-rays into light, then a photodiode to turn light into an electrical signal. Direct detectors convert X-rays directly into an electrical signal using materials like amorphous selenium. You don't need the equations, but understanding these basic conversions and limitations will help you feel more prepared for board-style questions. Once the image is captured, it shows up on specialized medical-grade monitors connected to the fluoroscopy system. Typically, there are two displays. One shows the live image, the real-time view during the procedure. The second shows the last image hold which freezes the most recent image so it can be reviewed without re exposing the patient. This last image hold is critical for reducing patient dose and minimizing the need for repeated exposures. These monitors are DICOM compliant, which means they follow the Digital Imaging and Communications in Medicine Standard, a set of rules that ensures images look the same on every device. DICOM compliance ensures brightness, grayscale, and contrast are accurate and consistent. That means what the radiologist sees on screen is a reliable match to what's in the patient. Let's say you're in the middle of a fluoro study and you catch something important, maybe a moment of reflux, a guide wire crossing a tight stenosis, or contrast pooling in an unusual spot. What do? You need to save it, either as a video loop or a still image. Most modern fluoroscopy units allow for digital cine loops or short video clips and spot images. These are static, high resolution frames. These are saved directly into PACS, or our picture archiving and communication system. PACS is the backbone of image storage in most hospitals and imaging centers. It holds all of your patient images, CT, MRI, X-ray, fluoro, you name it. And it makes them accessible across the network for physicians, radiologists, and technologists. If you're working in a facility that isn't fully networked, you might still export images or videos onto a USB drive or a CD or DVD, or even print out films for surgical teams or external referrals, though that's rarer nowadays. But recording the image is only part of the job. Just as important is tracking how much radiation was used during the procedure. This includes total fluoroscopy time, cumulative dose, like air kerma at a reference point, and dose area product, DAP, which accounts for both the dose and the size of the irradiated area. These metrics are either displayed automatically on the monitor or embedded into the DICOM metadata, and they're often reviewed as part of quality assurance or dose audits. So why does this matter? It helps ensure patient safety, it supports compliance with state and federal regulations, and it protects you and your team by documenting what happened during the case. So recording systems in fluoroscopy do more than just save the picture. They're a key part of the entire workflow: clinical care, legal protection, radiation tracking, and image quality management. Here's one that sounds a little high-tech: automatic brightness control, or ABC. Sometimes it's also called automatic exposure rate control, or AERC. Different vendors, same idea. So what does it do? Think of ABC as the autopilot for your fluoroscopy exposure settings. Its main job is to keep the image on the monitor consistently bright no matter what's happening inside the body. Here's how it works. ABC constantly monitors the brightness of the image being displayed. If it notices that the image is getting darker, say because the patient has a thicker abdomen or contrast is moving, it automatically adjusts the MA, that's our tube current, or KVP, that's our kilovoltage peak, to brighten the image back up. If the anatomy becomes thinner or less dense, it reduces exposure to avoid overbrightness. This is super helpful in live imaging, especially during GI contrast studies where barium is flowing, vascular procedures where you're following a catheter, or when a patient shifts positions mid-procedure. The biggest advantage of ABC is consistency. It gives you stable image brightness without needing constant manual tweaks. That means you can focus more on positioning or watching the anatomy and less on the dials. The downside: if the system isn't calibrated well, or if the ROI region of interest isn't centered properly, ABC can overcompensate. That means it might increase dose unnecessarily, especially in large patients or dense areas like the pelvis. In other words, ABC helps you, but you still have to help it. Good centering, collimation, and avoiding unnecessary magnification all make it more accurate and more dose friendly. Need a closer look? That's where magnification mode comes in. This setting lets you zoom in on a smaller area of anatomy so you can see more detail when you really need to, like during a swallowing study where you're watching epiglottic movement, a vascular intervention where precision matters, or spotting subtle pathology that gets lost in the wider field. So, how does it work? When you turn on the mag mode, the system either shrinks the active field on the image intensifier if you're using an older system, or it digitally zooms in with a flat panel detector by focusing on a smaller detector area. In both cases, it gives you better spatial resolution, things look sharper and more detailed. But there's a catch. What's the trade off? When you reduce the field size, the system has to increase the radiation output to maintain the same image brightness. That means smaller field, clearer image, and higher entrance dose. Especially in continuous or long fluoro runs, this can add up fast. Best practice? Use magnification mode only when necessary and always combine it with collimation to reduce scatter, proper positioning to avoid unnecessary repeats, and awareness of time. Shorter exposures mean safer patients. It's a powerful tool, but like anything in fluoro, it should be used with intention. The table isn't just a place to lie down. The Fluoro Table is actually a key part of the imaging system. Let's break it down. What makes a Fluoro Table different? It's radiolucent, which means X-rays pass right through it. That allows us to image the anatomy without the table interfering with the beam or showing up in the image. It's built with motorized movement, which gives you the ability to raise or lower the patient to your working height. Tilt the table heads up or heads down. This is especially useful for GI studies where gravity helps move contrast. You can float the tabletop in multiple directions, side to side, lengthwise, or even in combination, all without having to reposition the patient. So why does this matter? Good table design helps you. It helps you get better projections and angles without physically moving the patient. It's especially helpful for trauma, pain, or mobility limited cases. It helps reduce exam time and patient discomfort, and it decreases repeat exposures, which lowers radiation dose overall. Here's a real-world example. During a barium enema, you might need to tilt the table Trendelenburg, head down, to redistribute contrast. In swallowing studies, an upright table is essential. And in trauma settings, you can slip the tabletop under the C-arm instead of moving the patient. So don't think of it as just a table. It's a positioning tool, a dose saver, and a workflow enhancer all rolled into one. Let's talk about the add-ons, the unsung heroes of fluoroscopy. These tools might not get much attention, but they can make a big difference in image quality, radiation safety, and workflow efficiency. Stationary grids are built with alternating strips of lead and radiolucent material. Their job? To clean up scatter radiation before it reaches the image receptor. When X-rays enter the body, they don't all go straight through. Some bounce off in different directions. That's scatter, which can fog the image and reduce contrast. A stationary grid absorbs that scatter, helping you get a sharper, clearer image with better contrast. But grids also absorb some of the primary beam, the good X-rays, you actually want, which means the system compensates by increasing the dose. That's why grids are not used for every patient, especially not in peds or smaller adults where scatter is minimal. So when do we use a grid? On larger patients, areas with high tissue density, when high detail spot imaging is needed. Okay, the Bucky assembly is the part of the imaging table or upright stand that holds the grid and image receptor together. It's most commonly used in static imaging, like spot films during a fluoro study. The Bucky helps maintain alignment between the X-ray beam, the grid, and the image receptor, reducing distortion and keeping image quality consistent. Even though we don't always use the Bucky during live fluoro, it's still critical during overheads and spot shots, especially when we're using CR or DR systems to capture a moment. Sometimes body parts have uneven thickness. Think of the spine, scoliosis curves, or lateral projections of the chest. That means if you set your exposure for the thickest part, the thinner side gets overexposed. If you set it for the thin part, the thicker side comes out underexposed. Compensating filters help fix that. These are custom-shaped filters, often made of aluminum, copper, or plastic, that partially block the X-ray beam in just the thinner areas. That evens out the exposure across the image, so you don't get blown out or underexposed sections. Common types are wedge filters for scoliosis or femur studies, boomerang or trough filters for shoulders or spines. Some fluoro units have built-in motorized filter options you can toggle in the control panel. The bottom line, use grids to clean up scatter, but only when needed. Use the Bucky when capturing high-quality spot films. Use compensating filters when anatomy thickness isn't uniform. The right accessory at the right time gives you a better image with less radiation and fewer repeats. Let's test what you've learned. What is the primary purpose of an image intensifier in fluoroscopy? A, to store digital images for review. B, to convert X-rays into visible light for real-time viewing. C, to focus the X-ray beam. Or D, to reduce patient dose by collimating the field. The answer is B. Which of the following reduces pincushion distortion and improves digital workflow in fluoroscopy? A, image intensifier. B, CR cassette. C, flat panel detector. Or D, compensating filter. The answer is C, flat panel detector. What does DICOM compliance ensure in medical display monitors? A, monitors are waterproof and shockproof. B, uniform image display and grayscale accuracy across systems. C, patient data encryption. D, lower power consumption. The answer is B. What is the function of the last image hold, or LIH feature? A, to reduce fluoroscopy resolution. B, to eliminate motion artifacts. C, to allow image review without additional exposure. Or D, to save images directly to PACS. Our answer is C. What role does PACS play in fluoroscopy workflows? A, it monitors dose rate. B, it processes image contrast. C, it stores, retrieves, and shares digital medical images. Or D, it replaces collimators. The answer is C. It stores and shares digital medical images. What is the main function of automatic brightness control ABC in fluoroscopy? A, it reduces image resolution to decrease dose. B, it automatically adjusts MA or KVP to maintain image brightness. C, it tilts the table based on body habitus. Or D, it controls digital archiving protocols. Our answer is B. Why should magnification mode be used with caution? A, it can cause motion blur. B, it disables ABC. C, it increases entrance skin dose. Or D, it decreases image contrast. Our answer is C, it increases entrance skin dose. What feature of the fluoroscopic table improves efficiency and reduces unnecessary movements of patients? A, rotating the Bucky tray. B, radiopaque carbon surface. C, motorized tilt and floating tabletop. Or D, lead shielding panels. The answer is C. When is it most appropriate to use a stationary grid during fluoroscopy? A, in pediatric cases with lower scatter. B, for high detail images of larger patients. C, when collimation is open. Or D, anytime the Bucky is used. The answer is B. What is the purpose of a compensating filter? A, to focus scatter radiation towards the receptor. B, to evenly expose anatomy of different thickness. C, to increase spatial resolution. Or D, to restrict X-ray field size. The answer is B. That's a full tour of the fluoroscopy unit, how it works, how it records, how it protects, and how you can use it better. We've tied together key lessons from our GI contrast and radiation safety videos, and hopefully this made the tech behind the screen feel more manageable. If you liked this one, check out the other episodes to keep building your confidence, reduce repeats, and keep those images clean. Until next time, keep asking questions, keep practicing smart, and keep showing up like the rad tech rockstar that you are.